Okay. Just today, when I was looking at the rock light possible locations, I noticed I have a leak. I'm not exactly sure where it's from. I will show some pictures, and then you can see down in here where the head meets the block and the timing cover. It was filthy and had some buildup. It was quite wet. Same over there by the block timing cover front portion where the hidden bolt goes through. And also on the half moon was actually totally dirty, and it's very possible it was leaking down from there and getting blown back by the fan. So I've cleaned it all up to check that, but I also noticed down here. Yep. That is dripping onto my steering stabilizer. And it appears definitely to be oil. I don't want to get too near this, but yeah, it smells like oil for sure. So it looks as if my OEM front main seal is leaking. Still have that mist. Also, I'm finding this to be a bit leaky off of that one return connector there, but not enough to where it's leaking everywhere, and the new hose is holding up. But this is a problem. I'm sure, you know, it could seep for a while. It looks like nowhere else on the oil pan seems to be leaking anywhere. You know, the rear would be a big problem as well, as I just did this, but I seem to have no leakage at all. Sorry that I'm getting upside down here at points, but I don't really care. This little doohickey mod has been great for a pan that basically failed on the threads. So I did a self-tapping plug. But again, that right there. Alright, so I wanted to do 2-in-1 things. As everyone knows, I have a Gremlin. Warming up in the garage here, obviously it stunk a bit. Way cleaner now, but still offensive. Well, not really. Pretty clean, actually. I don't want to stick my head in it for too long. So, but you can hear the mist if I just hold this here. Pretty good, but not great. I pulled this out and took some pictures. I'll also post those as well regarding this. This little O-ring, that's nothing. I just stuck it over it. Did a couple tests with starter fluid to see if I blocked it off, you know, if it was pulling in air. It doesn't seem to be. I can dump 5 seconds of ether on this, 50% ether, and I don't get a rise out of it. So I'll demonstrate that really quick. Pretty much get some good starting fluid that's high ether, and I'm going to shoot it right on that without the O-ring as well. No point in even keeping that on here, I guess, but this is how much it has to be out in order to idle at 750. It's literally pooling in there. Pretty much you could say it evaporates before it can create an idle up. Okay, then I go on all the vacuum hoses in here. The idle up to the AC and steering, the surface of the cold start injector to plenum, brake booster, 3-port vacuum filter, in the back by the EGR, in the intake, a good shot. Just nothing. AC idle up. Yeah, man, I don't Yeah, I don't sense anything there. The reason I was bringing this up about my head gasket is related to the head gasket, just to see. I'm hoping and praying that this is just seepage. You know how things can get blown around and you never know. I also have a little bit at a couple of the grommets and the PCV. A little tiny bit is normal, but you know, I want to make sure it's clean as possible. This is a new modulator. It should be open. And yet, it's one thing, the EGR pipe, now I'm granted I haven't gone up to 2000 RPM, so let me do that for a second and see if we can get it to get warm. Okay, so, excuse me, like I said, I'll give you a demonstration of the ether. It's definitely working in a second. Okay, it's not doing a super chunky thing. This is not really getting warm at all, the EGR. It hasn't really had a chance to drive around and open up too much, but it should at least be getting slightly warm, and it's actually cool. Well, okay, then there's other tests you can do on the fuel pressure regulator. So it's not 100% fail-safe that it's good, but usually if this diaphragm in here is failing, you can pull this vacuum hose off and you usually will have fuel in here. So I can get it to drop back down. Goes up slightly. Put it back onto the regulator. Definitely drops down. So, you know, seeing oil, especially around the head gasket, or coolant or whatever it might be, I'll have to give it a good drive and really lay into it a little bit to see if I get it to come out of the half moon or where. It's possible that's leaking. I'm usually pretty good at that stuff, but you never know. So this is where I'm having to set my, excuse the air noise, but idle air adjustment screw. This will give you an example of how the ether does work very quickly if you get it anywhere near the air box at all. One more time. Okay. So it is responding to the ether immediately, and I mean, I'm laying it in spots and nothing. Just, you know, let me hold it as still as possible. Just a rumble in the jungle, you know. I'd have to get my stand on a stool here to show you specifically how it doesn't move, but anyway. This valve right here is a one-way. So, I don't, you know, unless the diaphragm is failed, it would have something to do with my brakes, but it doesn't reveal anything in regards to idle up as far as vacuum leaks. So, here's in the shaft of the throttle body. Dash pot. I think I'm going to adjust the stop set screw again, and then reset my TPS for one, and then possibly replace the cold start injector time switch. This is what I wanted to show you. Now, I'm not sure it's going to do it again, but I'm not sure if you can hear it either with all the noise, but it sounds to me like I'm hearing something coming from this box. We'll take the cover off. Okay. Okay, when I pull on the cold start injector time switch wire. You hear that? Could just be. You hear that? So I'm going like this on the connector wire. It's probably more so this. Okay, so let me try and do that without touching it. Yeah, definitely it was this. But it's worth checking, right? So, anyway, I've been told by Toyo Tech and a couple others that, you know, there's been a couple threads on how they did update them because they were not shutting off on time or something like that. The damper, fuel pressure regulator, cold start injector time switch, fuel pressure regulator VSV, booster hose. That's about the only things that haven't been replaced. The TPS is new. As far as something I hadn't mentioned in the troubleshooting portion of my last post. All right, well, ready to go, and yet possibly not. So, needless to say, I'm a little ticked off to see a leak there. I'm not positive what it is. We're going to find out. You know, my recommendation is to clean up as best as you can and then get back in there, you know. It's got the normal little tick, 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 tick. But for the most part, it's a pretty quiet 22RE. So we're going to check down here on the oil pump again. I see no buildup. Seems like once it heats up, it seems to seal up. Well, that's definitely not acceptable. So I might be digging in there anyway. I plan to do an alternator upgrade. So there you go. All right. Thanks a lot, guys.